Now for the best part, all the rigging. Psych, this is the worst part. I actually can't think of anything more miserable and time-consuming than actually having to wire and rig everything together after all the framing and decking is on. Why would anybody go through all of this? Well, it turns out that the more miserable your rigging job is, the better your boat turns out. In this video, we show you exactly how we rig this thing to make it unique and spectacular, unlike any other boat rig out there. Stay tuned. This video is brought to you by Plashlights. There was only one way I was going to make this bow rig distinguished from any other one out there on the market, and it was only going to be through Plashlights, and in this video you will see why. And also brought to you by our website and brother YouTube channel, TB Nation Outdoors. We actually have a boat giveaway going on right now, and if you go on our website, you can register for it. So if you've been following this series, you know that we've been putting things in place so we can finally rig this whole thing up once everything else has gone. In fact, there's an entire playlist that showcases this, including how we installed this motor, jack plate, and hydraulic steering system in the center console. But from the installation of the motor and the hydraulic system all the way to all the wiring and conduits, we did this very different from anything we've ever done on any other boat. We have two subfloors in this boat, not just one. The bottom subfloor is completely hollow, and so is the second subfloor, which is a lot smaller but also completely hollow. And how we rigged all the batteries, wiring, plumbing hoses, and hydraulic lines, we did it all underneath the second subfloor. And all these conduits and compartments and wiring will run directly into this center console, which is a lot harder than you would think. You would think it'd all be pretty easy, but actually getting underneath there and tying all that stuff in, that was actually a lot more difficult than I had previously imagined. The weather has 100% screwed us from doing anything we wanted to do with this stupid boat. If you ever plan to get this thing done efficiently, don't do it outside. I can only stick half of it in my garage at a time. Ever since we got this on, I can stick even less on now. When the other fab shop gutted the original build, this one was underneath the subfloor. And we know where this goes and what it will eventually lead to. We're not going to do that again. We're going to displace the foam elsewhere around parts and pockets of the boat. A major part of those foam pockets are the sides. We sealed off the bottoms with just pieces of wood that we templated in around those ribs and gap filler. And that will allow us to have the spot able for us to create a solid void that the foam can expand in safely without leaking into the subfloor and ruining everything. We're also going to be having a rod locker on top of this part here, which is a giant hollow void, pretty much a tubeless locker underneath, to stick oblong items. Once the rod tubes are formed and put through here, we will then pour foam all over the rod tubes, and that will solidify the tubes from ever coming out. The first wall, we try to keep as many initial walls that are already built into the boat that are useful, so the front wall obviously mirrored with the new rod locker interface that will stick an 1.5 inch tubing through. Seal off any and all voids with gap filler. Even if you have to think about it, like a possible question, just seal it off and wait 12 to 24 hours and you'll be good. Sweet. How many kits is this?
I finished that US composite kit and I'm halfway through a total boat kit.
Then you stuck all those things in there?
Yeah.
Like, what about the inner? Hey, good job with that footwork. It's pro.
That's why he's standing in there.
Sweet. Don't touch it. I know you want to. Don't do it. He'll never come off. I think there's like 7 or 8 kits of foam in this boat. There's a lot. Each one of those kits is 300 pounds of reserve buoyancy in case of an emergency, and also helps the boat glide through the water pretty seamlessly without shaking and shuddering. Everywhere where you see sheet metal, where we have just welded and grinded up after we have finally foamed and sealed all those compartments, that's all foamed in. Everywhere you see where the sheet metal is covering a foamed in spot where there's no hatches. And plus there's 2 big giant pockets of foam right behind the compartments, even on the side of those compartments underneath that light box. I'd like to film that process, but between the weather and some other things going on and this stupid deadline I got looming over me to get this thing all rigged in time, I just didn't record it. Sorry, but it's there. This video is part of an entire playlist series from start to finish of building this boat from scratch, and previously we had to wire and rig all of this. We welded light boxes to make spots for the floodlights and then spots for the LED lights. And then we eventually wanted to tie a trolling motor in there somewhere, but we were going to just get to it. So this is what we chose. We chose a Minn Kota Altera. Why? For one, it has spot lock and nav heading GPS technology. It's got all that stuff, but it self-deploys. That's the bigger one. So if you got
a bunch of people up there and you got one guy doing something, you need to stow it real quickly. You can't just run and mow over your clients. Here it is. The only thing about that was, previously making all that stuff, I did not anticipate how hard it would be to actually install a trolling motor on top of the light boxes with all those different bars serving other purposes and eventually trying to work my way around it. I tried all night and failed. That trolling motor has caused me so many problems within the install. It kind of broke me last night. I kind of low-key cried on the inside. So I have this quick release bracket I just purchased again. So there's just more money down the table. So obviously I got that trolling motor on. It's working right here in real time. You can see it, but I'll tell you, trying to play 4D chess with yourself, trying to remember like 12 steps ahead when you can only think maybe 4 or 5 or 6 is like a real fail, because later on you're going to run into these things. The more convoluted you make your build, the more you'll pay for it later. But enough of that. Let's see how we rigged up these LEDs. We already showed you previously how to rig up those floodlights. Now let's show you how we did all the accessory lights. This is the Plashlights adhesive that comes with the kit. All the Plashlights come with this 2100 silicone adhesive, and you just run this as a strip right down the area where you want to install the lights on. After everything I went through with the weather and the setbacks and the disagreements, it was really satisfying to see everything actually working. I never really saw these lights work before, but I knew they would be brilliant, and I've obviously seen flashlights, but I did not know how they would look against perforated metal. So I'd hoped that after everything went up that they would glow just like this through the mesh, and then glow between the individual sections like so. Plashlights came in big for me. They helped me out in ways I can't even tell you. They sponsored all the aesthetic lights for this build, including some of the really high functioning, high output LEDs like this one that can see a mile away. The products are expensive, but they have a lifetime warranty with almost no questions asked in most cases. And I don't know if you've ever tried to replace LED strips after they've broken, after there's a silicone bead in there and trying to get that out. It's the worst thing ever. I'm all about a buy once, cry once mentality, and I definitely would recommend Plashlights if you were seriously wanting to make your boat glow at night. Don't use cheap LEDs from Amazon. Don't do it to yourself. We also use their Corpus lights to line the stairs and their Epic LED underwater light. Right there you see it. It's brilliant. The whole thing just glows. The camera we're doing this to just doesn't even give the boat justice. It's one of those things you just got to see for yourself. All the Plashlights products are listed in the description and pinned in the comment section below if you want to check them out directly, or visit plashlights.com. Yeah, this looks real nice, but let's look at what actually powers everything. For starters, we have a Powerhouse Lithium 36 volt 60 amp hour battery pack, which performs phenomenally. Then we have our house battery there in AGM, and we have our charger, which will charge anything from lead acid all the way to lithium. We then have all our major components to control all the electricity, like the breakers right there on that wall, plus the cutoff switch and an additional switch there that we rerouted for a high power LED that didn't do well through the initial switch panel. We were able to power 10 out of the 12 switches with 2 switches just in case they want to put anything. We have the jack plate switch down there on the bottom left, and we have 2 cigarette ports with USB 3.0 battery chargers, which are the fastest to date, until they make something faster, of course. But he's able to charge the phones of 4 guests, and we have a vertical day box mounted in the front of the console for them to be put in while they're charging. By the way, the 36 volt Powerhouse lithium battery needs its own fast charger that'll handle 36 volts, and that's that blue box right there. But everything else is charged on the main charger, including the starter battery, which is on the right side. We didn't get to show you that, but we can show you how it all worked. Phenomenal is the word. There are many headaches in this boat, and I'm not truly satisfied with the overall end result of it, but one thing I am very satisfied with is how well it lights up. One thing I did not anticipate was just how much power all the LEDs combined took, and it actually depletes the house battery rather quickly, so 2 batteries paralleled would actually do much better. Alright guys, this was a real big pain, but it was the last chapter in the final rigging in preparation for this boat to go on the water. Next time you see it, we'll see it performing live to see how it does in its natural environment. Stay tuned.